Hey guys, Fire here, bringing you another game review. This time we're checking out Coffee Plis. This game is currently available in the Xbox store. It's developed by Diverty Games, published by Cube Games, and unfortunately I don't know the price yet by the time I'm recording this video, but again, you can check it out and I'll share my thoughts on what I think a fair price should be near the end of the review. So what is Coffee Plis, or Please, or I don't really know how to say the title. It's basically a party game where you run coffee shops and you have to fulfill orders for coffee and pastries. It's got local multiplayer, but it's also lacking some explanation in how the game works, and I want to go ahead and dive into that. There's a very basic tutorial that you get to play that kind of walks you through how to do things, and it kind of sets some expectations that almost make you get really excited for the game, but then when you actually get your hands on it, you realize that the game's plagued with some very quirky controls. Right off the bat, some more basic controls that you would think becoming action buttons in games, such as A or X, turn into the B button, which is quite the opposite from what most games would have you use. So right off the bat, you have to completely rechange your brain and mindset to know which buttons to hit and which prompts to use to properly play the game. So that right away is kind of a quirk, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if the game wasn't also plagued with just expectations of minigames that don't really exist as minigames. As you can see here, when you make a coffee, you have to trigger a button sequence, which would be great if the sequence wasn't exactly the same every single time you play the game. There is no difference in the prompts that you hit, and everything is literally the exact same buttons all along the way. Also, while you're going through your orders and everything, you're going to have to continuously try to track table numbers. But the table numbers are on the side of your screen, but they're marked nowhere within the game, so it's kind of a pointless little addition that's going to initially have you racking your brain wondering why the heck this component even exists in the game. Now, the pastries don't even have a minigame, so it's almost like a lazy attempt of an addition to the game was presented, as you don't really have any type of prompt that sets you to do anything. You do get taught that there's some other things you can do, such as cleaning up messes, but you're only going to create messes if you're probably in a multiplayer game playing with other people, and odds are you're never going to have any of those issues when you're just publicly playing the game solo, which is another point for me. I think the game could be fun if it had online multiplayer, but it's completely local multiplayer, and the UI that helps to teach how to play that local multiplayer doesn't really exist, because if you saw, we logged into an initial boot screen, but that initial boot screen has no information with regards to what we need to do to even have another player to sign in. So it feels like an incomplete game, or a game that was almost kind of like rushed to production and was lacklusterly missing content within it. Now, visually the game looks really great. I think it looks cute, it's nice and aesthetically pleasing with the art style. I love the music in the background, but I just think some of the stuff that would draw you into having a more enjoyable experience is unfortunately just missing within the game. And it does make it kind of challenging. The levels do change a little bit, but as you get into some of the later levels, with no real explanation for some of the features and stuff in the game, it gets a little challenging to really understand what you're doing in certain areas. As you know, there's a level that's introduced, I want to say level 3 or 4, where there's actually a outside terrace where you have to serve people coffee, but there's no way to tell that you actually have to do that, because the game doesn't give you any type of prompts that say, hey, there's people outside. So I spent my entire first run absolutely missing over half my patrons and wondering why I'm getting negative feedback from them in the form of the reviews, which is how you score your points in the game and ultimately earn those achievements. The achievements aren't too difficult, really. You can honestly ignore half the patrons and still score solid enough numbers to unlock most of the achievements, and there's really no inclination to do anything much beyond that, as you're just going to be constantly just cycling through trying to get the 3-star levels in the 10 levels, and that's the entire game. It adds a little bit more coffees and things along the way, but everything again is still super predictable, and it really takes away from your overall experience for the game. So for me, I think Coffee Plis or Coffee Please, I don't know how to really say it, as it's the title's even confusing for the game. So there you go, you've got that going for you. I think just the game needs some quality of life works, it needs some response works, and it needs just even some little down customization. I shouldn't have to use the Xbox Accessibility app to make the game seem like a more familiar experience. You know, it shouldn't be that challenging and that difficult. And I also think that the coffees shouldn't be so utterly predictable. It should be changed up to be more like a mini game, so you actually have an experience of playing something. And I don't know, I think the game needs some work. It's got potential. It could be a fun party game, but again, there needs to be some improvement along the way to be able to really push this game over to the next level. Outside of that, guys, let me know what you think of my review down below in the comments. I'd say if this game lands anywhere over $10, it's probably a pass. I'd say if it's 10 or less and you've got local people to play with, it's worth picking up. Outside of that, I hope to see you again soon.